What is up, everybody? Welcome to our Reflections podcast. Hey, this is Ryan, and I'm in the house today again with Olivia. What's up, Olivia? We just realized we think she's mic'd up. So I said, look, you got to be quiet because you're distracting me and you're going to be on the podcast. So I said, don't move and don't breathe.
Yeah, you guys will get a good sense of what I think is funny.
Go ahead and laugh as much as you need to, but don't breathe. Okay. So my oldest son, Logan, he just turned 21, and I'm learning something about him. It's like he's 21 and he still will come to me for advice or for thoughts many times after the fact, but it's not like it was when he was like 7 years old. You know, when he's 7, he relied on me for almost everything. And even when he was younger than that, I mean, I would make his food, or maybe Katie would as well, but we would make his food as his parents. We would give him advice. We'd teach him, instruct him. We were like his main source of knowledge and wisdom and insight if we had any to give. But we were like his mentor, his spiritual guides, his advisors. We were like his gurus, you know. And it's interesting because I've noticed, and many of you who are older than I am are going to be like, yeah, duh, that's how it works. But now that I'm 45 and he's 21, he doesn't need me like he once used to need me. And it's hard because I'm like, man, I'm his dad. I still want him to need me. But also I've realized, of course, this is a great thing. I mean, if he still needed me like he did when he was 7, then something wouldn't be right. If he was, 21 years old and I'm making him his meals and he's living in the basement and he's not leaving, of course, if he hadn't have outgrown me in some of those ways, it would be a problem. Like I wouldn't have done my job. And so my job as his dad is to pour into him, to be his guide, his mentor, so much that at some point he no longer needs me. And as a parent, it's heartbreaking. But it reminds me of this old phrase that comes out of the philosophical tradition. And the phrase, it goes like this. I love it. The phrase is, kill your guru. And the idea is that at some point in all of our lives, we have to kill our guru. Now, they don't mean literally, like to go murder your guru with a gun or something like that. But at some point in all of our lives, we have these people who pour into us, who are mentors, guides, gurus, psychologists, teachers. And the job, if it's done correctly, is they will pour so much into us that at one day, we might outgrow them. And that's a good thing. I think about the rabbis. The rabbis in ancient Judaism, they would gather, disciples, little followers, the Talmudim, they'd call them. They'd gather them around themselves. But at some point, that little disciple would grow up, and after ingesting all the things he was to learn and ingest, he would begin to embody it, and he would get older, and he would eventually, like the disciples of Jesus did, he'd go out and gather his own disciples, and he would sort of proliferate and sort of grow the thing, and he would outgrow the rabbi. And at some point, too, you could tell because the rabbi and the disciple would begin to have argument and wrestling, and that was a good thing. They encouraged that. You weren't supposed to always just ingest what the rabbi said, and without ever questioning it. Your job was to eventually, when you reached maturity, you begin to question the rabbi and wrestle harder. And that was how you showed the rabbi that you were involved and engaged, and that you were reaching your own level of like spiritual maturity. And that was what they were supposed to do. And it reminds me too, like my own job. I'm a pastor. I'm an ordained minister, pastor. And in many ways, what I do is I get up on a Sunday morning, and there are many times and many Sunday mornings where folks will look to me as though I'm like the spiritual guide or mentor or guru in the room, and they're like, "Hey, tell us all the answers." And I get it. It's kind of the box that we've inherited, and I did go to school for this stuff. And but my job really ultimately as the pastor is to remind everybody in the room, hey, you don't need my permission to go on your own faith journey. You don't. And you don't need me to sort of talk to God. You don't need me at all. And so my job as the pastor is to remind them that they don't need a pastor, that at some point, I hope they outgrow their dependency on me. Now, listen, I hope we can still have this, because what happens is me and Logan will still have a relationship together. My oldest son, Logan, we'll still hang out. We'll see each other. We'll banter, but he won't need me the way he once used to need me. And he'll be able to be a part. It'll be more collaborative, more be more like a flat sort of structure, not really any kind of hierarchy any longer. And he'll be like a friend, and I'll always be his dad, and I am 20 something years on that more than he is, and so I might always have some things to offer because I'm just a bit ahead of him on the journey. But the relationship changes, and so same as it is with people here at Central. I hope we always gather and we share relationship and fellowship and koinonia, and we share each other's burdens and we pray for each other. But the dynamic of me being the guru, I hope at some point they realize that they don't really need me for that any longer, and that they have just as much access to God as I do, and that they don't need my permission to do anything really. It's like a psychologist. When you go to therapy, A good therapist eventually will work himself or herself out of a job. You don't go to therapy forever. If you did, there's something not right about that. Whether it's some kind of codependency or I don't know what's going on there, but like the job of the therapist is to help you acquire the skills and the mindset and the patterns and habits to be able to do your life on your own without that therapist. That's the job, is to work themselves out of a job. And I think about a lot of, I think it was Picasso once said, he said it like this, said, hey, learn the rules as a professional so that you can then break them like an artist. And so maybe you're like a creative person and you like, when you first start out, you start sampling from other people, and that's totally fine. We all do this. Authors, pastors, musicians, you start to borrow from other people because you're just beginning. You don't really have like a whole collective of things yet. And so you borrow wisdom or insights or tracks or whatever from other people. But then at some point you begin to outgrow needing to do that, and you start to make your own path in your own way, and you have your own vision for what you want to create, and you contribute in a brand new and totally different way. And I love that. So yeah, that's what I want to say. I want to say to you today, hey, some of you might need to hear this morning or this afternoon or whatever time of day it is when you're hearing this, that you need to kill your guru. And again, you don't have to kill them literally, and it doesn't mean you have to stop being their friend or stop going to church or stop taking advice from your therapist. By no means. It just means that at some point you have to begin to let go of this dependency on that person, and that's part of your own maturity. Where you begin to question and wrestle and begin to realize, oh, I don't need their permission any longer. I can forge my own way, and you'll know when that time comes, as just like Logan does, and I could sense it as his. Now my job too, as the teacher, as the guru, as the dad, is to help him understand that, and when the timing is right, and to walk him through that. But as you, as a follower, as a disciple, you'll begin to know, you'll have this sense like, I'm sort of outgrowing this. Not that you're better than this, not that you don't need it any longer, but like you just sort of, maybe it's time for you to make your own path and your own way. And so today, I'm giving you permission to do that and to outgrow some of those things you've been holding on to for so long, and to take them off the pedestal and define and forge your own way and begin to collaborate and partner where there used to be hierarchy, and to be a sort of again, sort of this sort of flatten the structure and to kill your gurus. All right. Love you guys. Peace. Hey, if you enjoy this show, I'd love to have you share it with some friends. And don't forget, you are always welcome to join us in person at Central in Elk River at 8:30, which is our liturgical gathering, or at 10 o'clock, our modern gathering. Or you can check us out online at clcelkriver.org. Peace.